What's up, great girlfriends? It's Sybil here, and this pod mama has a pod baby. That's right, the Grace Podcast, which is a spiritual development podcast dedicated to helping you grow in your relationship with God through the Word of God. Listen in each week as we take your life, plug it into scriptures, and refresh it with biblical insights to make you more bold and brave each day. You can log on to my website, sybilamoody.com, to catch up on the most recent episodes and leave your iTunes review. Thank you for listening. Welcome to the Great Girlfriends Podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. We're your hosts. I'm Sybil and
I'm Brandice Danielle.
And before we jump into this week's episode of the podcast, make sure you sign up for our newsletter at
thegreatgirlfriends.com.
And don't forget to leave us an amazing iTunes review.
Yes, that is the payment for listening to this podcast.
I love it. 5 stars all the way. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hey ladies, we're back. It's myself, Sybil, and my girl, Brandice.
Hello.
And we are here with our Girlfriends Podcast. Thank you for joining us again. We're so happy you came back and met us here online on your way to work or whatever you're doing, right? So Brandice, how was your weekend?
It was a good weekend. I'm trying to think, what did I do this weekend?
Sounds like a lazy one.
I did have a lazy weekend. Nice. You know, I finished up my first trimester.
Oh, I love it. Baby,
so I am on to my second trimester of pregnancy as of today.
Nice.
So I think I slept most of the day on Saturday, but Sunday I went to church, and after church I walked around Brooklyn for a bit. Oh, I know what, at Saturday I walked like 5 miles.
Wow.
And but I had to take an Uber back.
It's all right.
Because I could not walk it back.
No.
Yeah, definitely. But that was a good weekend. It was just pretty cool. Pretty
nice.
Chill. Yeah, how was yours?
You know what? My weekend was amazing. So I did the sleep out for Covenant House, which is a charity that I support. And I loved it. So I slept on the streets of New York Friday night and with about 100 other moms, and like I told you, I was the only chocolate chip in the big old vanilla cookie of moms, but it's all good. Not next year, because I'm gonna have some other moms with me. Hint, hint.
Yes.
And after that, Saturday, I slept most of the day in my nice, cozy, comfortable bed, and went to dinner with my family. And Sunday, I chilled out. I did a lot of relaxing, even though I had a lot of pressure to go to the polo match.
Oh, yes. I did too.
Yeah.
Rich called me and he was like, babe, do you want to go to a polo match? And I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
He was like, what do you mean you can't? I was like, I just can't.
I didn't have it in me to go.
Me either.
In New York, if you're not in New York, just so you know, there's a whole lot of pressure to have these epic weekends, right? Like to do something major that is like trending.
Yes.
Or it's going to be socially thriving on the weekend. And I did none of that.
Yeah.
And I'm happy.
It would have made great Instagram pictures.
It would have made great pictures. Don't look from this past weekend. There's nothing exciting on there.
Mine either.
Maybe this weekend. So anyway, let's just dive right in. Last podcast, we talked about who we are and why we're doing this.
Yes.
And, what brought us together as girlfriends and, what we intend to give you women out there. And
this week, you chose a topic.
I did.
And so why don't you tell the audience the topic that you chose and why you chose this topic, please?
Gladly will. Okay, so for this week, I thought we'd talk a little bit about love. I am a lover at heart, definitely not a fighter. And, I told Brandice I like to keep my world insulated with a lot of love. And a lot of my friends lately have been talking about love and relationships and friendships and what's missing in the world and what's missing with themselves and what it means to actually be in love, and everyone's sort of redefining where they see love fitting in their life. Mm-hmm. So I thought it'd be great for us to have a straight up girlfriend discussion about love.
And let me tell you guys, this is such an uncomfortable topic for me because I don't like to get personal with hardly anything. So when Sybil told me the topic was love, I was like, oh, really? So you better bet I'm going to challenge her with my next topic.
We have to go deep because if people want to believe us, they're going to have to know, we really sucked at love once upon a time.
Yes.
We might suck at loving ourselves some days, and we recover from it. You know what I mean? All right. So tell me, Brandice. I looked up some things about love, and I thought it was kind of interesting. A quote that said, "Love is when the other person's happiness is more important than your own," which made me dig into like, what is my own happiness?
Mm-hmm.
How do I own that? And then how can I give it to someone else?
Right.
And, love isn't something you find. Love is something that finds you. And another quote I love, this is my favorite from Lucille Ball. It says, "Love yourself first and everything else falls into line. You really have to love yourself to get anything done in this world." Boom, mic drop.
Boom, mic drop. I agree.
So what do you think about that?
I agree with that. Oh my God, this is so tough for me.
Let's do it though.
But, I agree with that. I think that, you know what though? Okay, so loving yourself, I'm going to go based on that last quote you said, like in order to get anything done. I do agree, but I sometimes think with that, we can get things done without loving ourselves too. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes we abuse ourselves because we have this whole struggle complex, right? So that we got to be struggling to like do the grind thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I do think that people are attracted to you when you love yourself. I think you can absolutely feel when someone really and truly love themselves because they don't need anything from you. And we're always attracted to people who don't need anything from us. That's always attractive. When people need a whole lot from you, it's because they don't love themselves. And it's kind of like a guy, right? It's like a guy that is real needy. Like, you're not interested. And it's the same with girls and girlfriends. Like, somebody who's real needy, not really feeling you like that.
So why does it seem like guys are attracted to that damsel? That girl that's always like, can you come fix? Can you come help? I need, that has that kind of clamoring. I'm sorry, no offense to any damsel out there. But
I am such a damsel.
Are you? You're a sneak damsel. Look at you.
I am such a sneak damsel. Oh my God, you just called me out.
Then? Because you're a damsel by night.
I'm such a damsel.
And a shero by day.
I am.
So what's the difference? Because you're not the typical damsel that's saying, I can't do it without you. You're the damsel that's saying, it's better to do it with you.
Yeah, and I'm also the damsel that like pretends I can't do it without you. It's like, so that is something I actually learned from my mother. So my mom is like, let a man feel like a man. Mm-hmm. And she's always told me, like, Brandice, I remember one time I like carried a TV or something crazy like that. And she's like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. You don't carry TVs. You are a woman. That's the problem with y'all women today. You're just wanting to do too much and you don't leave anything for men to do. Mm. And she just kind of drilled that in my head. And for me, it works. Like, literally, if a light bulb goes out, I would just be like, hey, babe, the light bulb's out. Like, I will pretend like I don't even know how to put it in the light bulb. Uh-huh. It's so ridiculous. But I kind of enjoy it because for me, I have to be so strong in my like daily life and entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. I kind of enjoy taking that role in my personal life.
So that's you taking the love that you have and giving it to him because you know he needs to feel that in a certain way. So you're giving him something that he can hang on to, and that's considered love because you know you could change that light bulb.
Oh, I can change the light bulb. And literally, I mean, I don't know if it's like him in particular because I literally have done this with everyone since I've been dating. Yeah, it's like part of my formula. I don't even open my doors.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
It's like, and it's, I don't know. I think it does something, right? Like when he comes and open my door or, in the beginning, of course, my husband is a New York, total Brooklyn dude. So he was like, why are you not opening the door? And I was like, oh, I don't open doors. Yes. And I think it was just like a whole. So yeah, I don't know. I'm like so guilty of the damsel thing. I mean, what about you? How are you like in your relationship?
Well, okay. So my husband for me is my muscle. Okay. Like I consider him my muscle, and I like the idea that I can be vulnerable and he can be my muscle. So he's like a hero to me. I see him.
See, and maybe it's a Southern girl thing.
Yeah, but like. The way that I give him love is by also being his muscle in certain places. Okay. So there are places where he needs my strength and he needs my vulnerability. Right. And so I know how to kind of finesse between those two when it's necessary.
Right.
And then I know how to fall back and let him give it at the same time.
Right.
I didn't always know that.
Okay.
It's something that I learned after many failures at not loving myself, consequently ineffectively having any quality relationships and even some friendships that just could not sustain because I didn't have the love part down.
I completely understand that. I didn't even... I remember when I first met my husband, I didn't even know how to accept love.
Yeah.
It was a process for me. I think that women talk about what they want, but it's like if you think about what you say you want and what you really want, they are so different. It's like you say you want like this really nice and kind guy that does all this stuff, but when that particular guy comes, you're really not feeling him. You're like,
he's boring.
Like he's so boring. Like you really want kind of like the guy with like extra swag who's like might not call you back, who there's a little who's not so accessible to you, like. And it's
aspirational sort of.
Yeah. And it's like you're winning him, which is so dumb because as women, we're the prize and he should be winning us. But we...
Take that, ladies. We are the prize.
We are the prize.
They should be winning us. Go tweet that.
Go tweet that.
Tweet that. I love that.
And so, but it's like we see it differently because I think we're so used to being ambitious and going after so many things in life that we feel like a relationship should have that same kind of effect on us. Like we should feel like as women we're conquering this, and that's not the role we're supposed to take.
So then let me ask you this question. Do you feel like women put love on the back burner? Do you think that they exchange the idea of I just want this ideal relationship, and if love is in it, cool, but I really want this picture? Because if everybody's out conquering, like, you know, who's the predator, who's the prey? Like, who's the win here?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I wonder sometimes.
What do you think?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I feel like in so many instances, we don't have in our minds, and I want to say this, I don't believe that there's a universal definition of love.
I don't either.
I don't. I believe that God is love. That's what I believe. And I believe that there is light that comes with love. But I believe in every person, there is a different formula or chemistry that creates love.
Yes.
So I can't say that I can love and then match myself and find compatibility with everyone. But I do think that there are some common, like, foundational pieces that define love. There's, like, you know, an amount of acceptance. There's an amount of joy, forgiveness, compatibility, you know, connectivity. There's all these different things. So I feel like sometimes people, because they don't have their definition locked down, you may find yourself chasing after someone else's definition of love. So, you know, for example, our power couples that are leading today, which are Michelle and Barack, which are Jay-Z and Beyonce, which are Kim and Kanye. You know, I feel like people see what they think they know of a couple, which is this power, this status, you know, this beauty and you know, all these things, and they start chasing that, not realizing what it takes for us to actually have the love part down.
We'll be right back after these messages. Hey, great girlfriends, it's that time of year again. We're inviting you to join us for the 2019 Great Girlfriends Doers and Disruptors Conference, June 13th through 15th in New York City. Our 3-day event includes exciting receptions, life-changing panels, connections, masterminds, and more. This year, we had over 100 women from around the world connect with like-minded girlfriends and create incredible memories. Now it's your turn to be a part of this exclusive event. Visit our website, www.thegreatgirlfriendsconference.com, to grab a ticket for yourself and for your greatest girlfriend. We hope to see you there.
Hi, it's your great girlfriend, Brandice Daniel. I am so excited to announce that I am now an author. Yes, I've authored a book sponsored How to Get Brands to Pay for Your Next Event. Over the last 10 years, I've secured over $2 million in sponsorships for my company, Harlem's Fashion Row, and now I am teaching you how to do the same. You can get my new book on www.mysponsoredbook.com.
I read something somewhere that what we really want as women is for someone to know us.
Yeah.
And that that is like love.
Mm-hmm.
And when I thought about that, I was like, that's so true, because how unfortunate is it to have somebody fall in love with you but not know you?
Yeah.
But to have someone know you, like,
and still love
know you, like, know, like, those ugly pieces of you, like the hurt side of you, like all of you, and still love you, that's the piece that honestly is hard to accept. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I just thought that was interesting when I read that. Like, what we're really looking for is for someone to know us.
Yeah, yeah. And then when we open up the idea that someone can know us and love us, the world, I feel, opens up the possibility of, like, having authentic relationships, having authentic friendships, having true connection.
Yeah.
That's when it takes place.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the same in friendships, too.
Yes.
Like you actually knowing me. Like, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah. And still, like, wanting to be my friend. Still, like, loving me as a friend.
Yeah.
But I also think that comes from loving. I think it's easier when that person, like, loves themselves. Yeah. It's very difficult for me to love somebody that don't love themselves. I have realized that. Like, it's very difficult for me to love somebody that's needy. That's really hard for me. I really need you to need nothing from me. Yeah. But, like,
because then I can't give you, because I know I won't be adequate enough in your life, because I won't fill that void.
Right. It's true.
I can't feel it.
It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, I know. So tell me, because, I went through, before I got married, my relationship life was just lame. There was just no real love there. And it was just because I didn't have that self-acceptance down. I didn't have the true love for myself that a person should live with each day. So I didn't give from the right place. Okay. So were you ever in a place where you feel like, where it came to relationships, with guys before Rich, you tried it and you kept missing it somehow? Like you serial missing it and trying to figure out what's wrong with me.
Yeah, I had a type. I had a very, very specific type. And when you did not fit into that type, like, for me, we were not going to work. Yeah. And what's funny is Rich did not fit into that type. Like, it's like, my type was, well, he did fit into the dark, tall, and handsome. But my type was entrepreneurs. I always wanted to date other entrepreneurs. Like, if you weren't an entrepreneur or entrepreneurial, I really wasn't interested. Wow. And so what happened was I kept dating these men, and our relationship was a business relationship. It was literally like at dinner we were talking about business. On the phone we were talking about business. And it's so different. Like, Rich and I, he's my business partner, so we talk about business too, but it's different because sometimes, like, he's the one who really helps me to have balance in my life. I always say if it were not for him, I probably wouldn't even have a social life. Yeah. Because I would have, like, neglected all my friends for years. Yeah. Like, for years, he'd be like, it's like Leslie's birthday. We're going out.
Wow.
That's my friend.
I love it. That's so awesome.
So, but that was my thing. I went for one type of guy, and I kept getting the exact same result. Yeah. And I don't know why it didn't work, but me and another, like, really driven entrepreneur, that was not good for me. It did not work for me.
Because somehow you saw that you needed to pivot. So what broke for you?
I did not.
It just happened naturally?
No, I never stopped looking for the same person.
Really?
Yeah. I continued to look for the same type of guy, but when Rich came, he was very different from that guy. He had been on his job many years, very, very opposite from this guy that I was, like, attracted to. And the thing that was different about him was the way that he treated and loved me. It was like, the way not because I guess in the beginning he didn't love me, but the way that he treated me was very, like, I didn't have to chase him down for a phone call. You know what I mean? It was like, there were no games. It was like everything was just, he was like a man, you know? He wasn't like out here. And it was just so different. And it was very scary for me. Like, it was like, I wanted to see where this was going to go, but he was scaring the crap out of me because I was like, oh, he's not playing the games that I'm used to playing.
Yeah.
So I actually was dealing with grief from a previous relationship. An ex that I thought was like the one, which now that I know, that relationship would have been disastrous. But I thought that was the one. And when he actually committed suicide, and that was right before I moved to New York, that happened. And it was so difficult for me to, for one, I put him on a pedestal. And so I was comparing everyone to this illusion of a relationship that I thought I had. And the second thing is that I had so much grief that it was difficult for me to really open my heart up to anyone. And so Rich actually made me go to therapy. He was like, in order for us to move forward, you have to go to therapy.
I love that.
And he like connected me with one of his girlfriends who had gone to therapy. And I was like, I don't even know this girl. You tell her I need to go to therapy.
Help her fix her.
But he was so adamant about it. And I was like, I had never even thought of going to therapy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not something that we
Go
did
to
in
church.
my family. You go to church and read your good scripture and pray about it. And so I did that. I finally found me a therapist, and I went to her for an entire year. And it was like the best thing I could have ever done for myself.
So you came out of that with a new perspective on you.
On me.
Which helped with your perspective on him.
It did.
Oh, that's great.
The first thing I remember we dealt with in therapy was the pedestal that I had put this ex-boyfriend on. And she was like, didn't he break up with you? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, did you try to get back with him? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, what did you do? And I told her all kind of crazy stuff. And she was like, and so he never like got back with you. And he knew what you were going through at the time. Because at the time I was going through the fact that my best friend was really sick with lupus. And that's what he broke up with me during that time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she was like, do you not see? Like, and it was like somebody literally just took him off the pedestal. And I was like, oh my God. Like, what I thought was so great for me was not great for me at all. So that whole going to therapy was just an eye-opening experience on so many levels.
Wow. So I feel like in some parts that healing took place internally.
It did.
And that sort of closed that chapter for you and opened you up to this whole new horizon a bit.
It did.
Oh, and that's great.
And then even perception, right? So like, I didn't realize how tied I was to people's perception. My family's perception. You know, like my family's perception of who I should be with. My family's perception of what would be good for me. All those things, I was so tied into that. I had no idea. And so I was even dating a bit based on who my family thought would be good for me or who people would think would be good for me. I had no idea I was doing that. Like, therapy really made me okay with doing me.
Got it. So then in the context of love, it wrapped you into the idea that you could create your own definition of what's acceptable in your life, of what you can have. Of what what creates value for you.
Absolutely.
And how you can go out and pick and choose according to that. You don't have to take any leftovers.
Absolutely.
And then came Rich.
Yes. And he was there. And she was like making me see like what was in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like didn't even see it. And a lot of times women, what we need and what's good for us is right in front of our face. I mean, I know you have a similar story.
I do. My husband is absolutely dynamic. And before I met Kwaku, I was dating the wrong guy. Well, a long, wrong time. And it was just a lot of wrong things that were taking place. And I compromised what I thought was acceptable because I couldn't imagine being without him. I was in such a low place emotionally because I'd gone through some things personally that were just unbearable. And for me, he was almost air. So I thought that if I went without him, that I would be without life.
Wow.
Like, it was that much of a soul tie. But at the same time, there was no love there.
Wow.
There was just this bondage almost that I felt like...
What kept you attracted to him?
all the naughty things.
Oh,
like
okay,
all the
okay,
naughty.
okay.
Well, one, he fit my criteria of tall, dark, handsome.
Okay.
But at the same time, there was a connection that we had. I feel like there was some things that I gave him, and there were things that he gave me.
Okay.
But it just wasn't enough.
Okay.
There was no fulfillment. There was just satisfaction. For me,
it.
that wasn't enough. So when I got the courage, and I mean that courage to say, you know what, if I die without him, I'm gonna die because I got to be without. This is toxic. And I took time to myself. I really began to realize that I don't care if I never ever date again. I just want to feel good about the decisions that I'm making. I want to know that I love myself enough to give myself a chance.
Wow.
Like, I want to know that I love myself enough to be willing to walk away from things that are dissatisfying.
Wow.
Or things that are less than my standard. Like, I wanted to know that I would stand up for me. So I finally did that. And in doing that, I felt like I was breathing open air again. And at that point was when I was introduced to Kwaku. And Kwaku was a difficult person for me because he challenged every bit of who I am.
Because he got to know you.
He got to know me. He got to know me. And after he got to, and even letting him get to know me was strange, right? Because the guy that I was with prior to him knew me, but he didn't know me. I gave him my exterior, my facade, and I expected him to take that and love me. Who can do that? It's unfair from the start. So we never had enough of that intimacy to really have that. So with Kwaku, I said, listen, here's all the good, bad, and ugly up front. I thought I was giving him everything. And then he started finding other uglies. I'm like, no, I gave you my list of uglies. Don't call me a robot. I already told you I have difficulty with emotion. And you gonna call me a robot? Really? So he was able to find more goods, more bads, and more uglies, on top of that. And there was like this healing and wholeness process that was taking place over the years that we dated. And what I realized is that not only was I loving myself, loving him, but we were creating our own definition of love together.
Yes.
And what we thought it should look like. And we started to build it together and mold it together.
Right.
And it came out of us taking those ruins, what we thought were ruins, and saying, maybe they weren't ruins. Maybe this was for this rubble was for the next person to take and make something out of. And he was able to take what I consider ruins and mold them.
Wow.
And I was able to do the same with him. And we built our DNA. So now we know what it means like. So then now in our marriage, we have a formula for how we love each other.
Right.
Like, we have a standard. We don't compromise it. And we have it in our friendships, and we have it with our children. But it wasn't like easily built. It took me a lot of mistakes. So I have a question for you. If you were to tell one of our young girlfriends one thing that they should do differently in their 20s to keep them from going through some of the rubble that you went through, what would you tell them?
I would say he needs to do more chasing. Because I think about some of the guys that, and long term, right? So everybody chases for the first month.
Of course,
everybody does. And I remember a girl a long time ago. Now, I don't know if I believe this, but she was like, a man needs to love a woman more than a woman loves a man. And I remember this girl. I remember this girl said that, but I don't know if I believe that. I do believe you guys should love each other, but I do think that a man has to chase and a man has to have a challenge. And I think that women are too easy. And that we don't set up enough criteria. And some things you need to kind of set up, I think, some things that they have to climb over.
Yeah.
To see, are they really interested in me?
Yeah.
That's just one piece of advice I would give, because I just think had I done that, I think sometimes I was afraid to create anything that was difficult for certain men because I just thought he was like the bomb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't want to create any. I want to make it real easy for him because I don't want there to be no reason for him not to want to be with me.
Right.
And I think that is so the wrong way to approach it.
Absolutely.
I think it's like set your standards high, and with Rich, I remember I had a 3 text maximum rule. So after we had text back and forth 3 times, no more texting. You call me or I'm not answering your text messages.
Nice.
And that was like something that I set from like day one. I'm like, because too many things get lost in translation in text. You can be out on a date with another woman texting me, but you can't be out on a date with another woman on the phone with me.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So it's like all that texting stuff. I was like, no, three text maximum.
That's
rule.
good. I love it.
So I think just like, and I would have never done that in my 20s for somebody I really liked because I would have been like, oh, I'm just happy he's texting me.
Yeah.
So I think like set your bar really high so that the person who's willing to kind of cross those bars is somebody maybe you can take a look and see if maybe they might be worth it. I don't know. What do you think?
I think, when it comes to
what advice you would have given yourself?
The one thing I would have said, or I would still say, is as a girl, you have to know what you're doing. I think it's really important for you to know. Like, I think you should be very intentional around like what you're doing when you're picking friends, when you're going out with people, what you want to get out of it. Like knowing that in advance is helpful because I feel like sometimes we get the residual of whatever happens, whatever the result of whatever a great night ended up being, and whatever kind of swings our way, we take it. But I think if you have a sense of love and identity that you're taking on with yourself, and you have that, and you emulate that, and you build that with your friendships, and you build it with your relationships. When you're out with people, you can make decisions about what you deserve and what you don't, like what you qualify for, because you already have an intentional mind around what you're worth or what you deserve to have.
But I think a lot of women, they got the girlfriend thing on lock. They've got great girls. I think so. You don't think so?
No.
I think so.
Because we would have so many loose selfies and like looseness. You got a lot of looseness going on.
What you mean by that? I feel like so many women have the girlfriend thing on lock. You don't?
I think we have the loyalty thing on lock, but I don't think we have the criteria down for who should be in your corner. Because we have so many stagnant corners.
Ooh.
I don't see enough women building. They're just maintaining. So it's one thing for you to have people in your corner that are loyal to you, that have been down with you, that know you and love you. But it's another thing for you to have people in your corner that are helping to build you and help you stop, help you break cycles.
That's a good one.
That's love too.
That is love.
And I think, we just got some loose stuff happening. Too many girlfriends letting girls get by with acting up.
Yeah, that's true.
Not making quality decisions.
I would agree somewhat with that, but I do think.
Now you got the girlfriend thing on lock,
but I think you attract what you give.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I agree to that too. I think that's the deeper problem. And
that again goes back to loving yourself.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the truth of the matter is that at the end of all of this, if you don't have a really strong, realistic eye on who you are and what you're worth, and what your measures are, your values are, you will say, oh my gosh, he likes me, then I like him. Oh my goodness, she's cool with me, then I'm cool with her. They're doing this, so I'm doing this. Instead of leading the charge because you really own you. So that ownership is like, to me, the biggest piece of it. A girl who owns herself, she's like charting the course, and then everybody else is like getting in line. And then that dude is like there.
Wow.
I really believe that.
Sybil, I think we might have to do a part 2 on this.
I
do too. This has been, because we're almost at our mark.
We're almost at our mark,
this is such a deep conversation. I mean, the friendship thing, I feel like that's a whole nother conversation within itself.
Yes.
I mean, I think that deserves maybe some extra time for us to really delve into because friends should be qualified.
Yep. Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Okay. So
it is. So So tell me where you are now, in life, and where you are with Rich, and where you are in your second trimester, and in your business, and just in everything that you're doing. What do you think is that love part is there because the passion is there, and I think those two kind of go hand in hand. How do you think that passion has been an attracting force for you in terms of the people, the businesses, the partnerships? Tell people how important it is that you have that. The love draws, the passion draws, the relationships.
Oh my God. That is so, the way you phrase that question is so interesting. I honestly think my passion has attracted all of my relationships. I really do. Especially all of my New York relationships. So I won't say like, I'm from Memphis. It's just, shout out to Memphis. But anyway, but I don't know if it like attracted my relationships, like that I've had since high school. But my New York relationships, I really believe my passion has attracted pretty much all of them. I think that people are attracted to other people who are living out their passion, who are taking risk, who are basically walking the walk, and I think that that's exciting. I think that was, even I remember my bridal shower, that was what Rich was attracted most to my ambition. I think, our relationship really kind of started from there. I think, because if I hadn't had anything to talk to you about, or if you hadn't have felt anything from me, I'm not sure if the relationship would have gone anywhere. So I think because of me being so passionate about the projects that I've had in HFR, I think it's, when I talk about it, certain people have been, I don't know, just like, how can I support you in this? And I think because of that question people have asked, I've then attracted these really amazing people.
Right. I also want to say this too, because I think it's important that people know that love attracts and it also repels. Because it can keep away the people that don't add that value, or the things that will not support and nurture whatever it is you're fertilizing.
It's true.
Right?
I think there's a sticky factor.
Yeah.
For sure.
So a lot of times people feel like, they're losing on something if people are walking away, or friendships are shifting, or if, things just don't work out the way they think they should. But sometimes love will keep things away from you that are harmful or will not add value where you need it the most.
I think so too. I even think even now, like, I feel like there's this sticky factor where, like, I can go to lunch with somebody and I can tell after that lunch if we'll ever talk again. Yeah. Like, there's just something about me that if I'm not interested, I'm just not interested. Even like, for you to be like an associate, I'll put you in like, okay, I'll stay in touch with this person, and I even might really like that person, but they're not going to be like a big important piece of my life. Yeah.
That's a whole other topip on defining those.
That's a whole nother.
Those circles.
Okay, Sybil.
All right, so we're going to wrap this one up because we could go on all day. Because who knew that Brandice, who did not want to talk about love, had so much to say about this topic. And it's great, though, because it really helps you to see how much it means to you.
It's true. I had no idea.
I think that people put the word love in this mushy place, but it's actually a core value. And it actually means the most to everything that we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, for me, it means the most to my world. It means the most to my ecosystem and my brand and business and everything. The idea that I love me and I love what I'm doing and I have the choice to import or impart love. So I want to ask you some point blank, 3 simple questions. 1 word answer from you. Love is?
Acceptance.
Love does?
Inspire.
You're in love with?
Rich.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love Rich. You taking up way too much airtime on this podcast, Rich. You're going to need to come and do a cameo. Lord Jesus. All right. So ladies, we want to thank you for listening in to podcast number 2. We are defining with each podcast how we're going to roll out our syntax and what means the most to you, our audience.
Yeah, we want to hear from you guys. So we are going to do a part 2 on this because clearly I had a lot to say and I want to hear what Sybil has to say. So when we post this, we would love to get comments from you guys. Let us know like what piece of this you really want us to expand on, and maybe there's something we didn't talk about that you guys want us to add to the conversation. So this is a conversation with and for you guys, so we want to hear from you.
We could not end this podcast without thanking our amazing husbands.
Yes, thank you, Kwaku.
And thank you so much, Rich Daniel.
And our beautiful children, thank you, Sam and Dylan.
And thank you, Miss Sky Daniel.
And thank you to all of you great girlfriends for trusting us as your go-to source for everything life, love, and laughter.
You can check us out on our social, on Instagram,
The Great Girlfriends,
on Twitter,
_great GFS,
and on Facebook,
The Great Girlfriends.
And please make sure that you join our Facebook group, which is over 16,000 women strong.
Absolutely. And make sure you listen every single Wednesday on iTunes, Spotify, Podcast Bean, Podcast Republic, Google Play, and every other podcasting service.
Absolutely.
Be sure to post your questions, share with your friends,
keep listening, and keep being a great girlfriend.
I'm Sybil.
And I'm Brandice.
And we're signing off.
Peace.
Peace.